What's up, guys? Welcome back with another episode of Breakthrough. Again, guys, if this is your first time checking us out, subscribing, like watching the channel, the podcast, you can find us on YouTube, on Ali, Breakthrough by Ali, or on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. But guys, without further ado, I have a very special guest for you guys today. It's someone I met again in Deb's class, in acting class. He's phenomenal. He's amazing. He's done it all. He's very talented. The one and only Eric Sebastian, everybody. So let's give him a big welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No
That
worries.
felt that felt like a slate. I feel like every time I slate, I can't remember.
Yeah,
It'll be like, say your name, height,
yeah,
whatever, and I'm like,
yeah.
Eric, Sebastian, what am I doing?
Eric Sebastian, five something, raised, based in Vancouver.
Yeah,
Like it's just like it's always like you gotta have that, right? So, uh, it's funny because like I feel like slating is always harder than the audition itself. I don't know. It's just like for me, like
sometimes.
I'm
Yeah.
always like, no, I feel like I want to be like a little more like smiley, friendly, or something. You know,
Yeah,
it's
do
just
you overthink your slates?
yes. In the audition, like once I'm doing it, I'm just like doing it. But if I'm slating, I'm like, eh, okay, it could be better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I
Like
I
it's
know what
just,
you mean. I
yeah,
feel like I go through periods where I'm like, "Oh, okay.
yeah,
I'm gonna nail this and just be like perfectly warm and like, hi, my name's Eric Sebastian, like calming. And
yeah,
then there's times where I'm like, I don't even care what I send here.
yeah,
Not in a negative way, but
yeah,
just in the way of like maybe they want to see a little bit more of my personality.
yeah.
But it's like, who
Especially,
knows?
especially now that we no longer go in the room.
Yeah,
Especially now that it's like self tape. Like, the slate is honestly the only place you could probably like try to make a first impression. Because I don't know for you, but like like back in 2019 when I started auditioning, we used to go in the room.
yeah.
Like like we barely do that now. But
I know it doesn't happen at
back then,
all.
like we used to go in the room, and then you could like have a first, that first moment with the production, with the people, and like I don't know,
Yeah,
But now like you can't do that. You just get straight to the tape, or you just like slate it, and then hopefully
yeah.
yeah, it
Which
works.
is so interesting because it's like you have 10 whatever, no less than that, 5 seconds really
Yeah,
to try and be the most you can be. But just the act of trying to be the most you can
yeah,
be
yeah,
is so not the most you that you can
yeah,
be.
yeah, yeah. It just goes to show like how difficult it is to just like be you sometimes, because like we don't have an issue like being ourselves, like we're not filming, we're not taped.
Right.
uh well, actually that's not true, because like sometimes when we're doing like TikTok, or like a reel, like Instagram reel or whatever, people are filming themselves, but you can sense that they're like being pretty accurate as far as like portraying themselves.
Right.
But when it comes to slating, I don't know, for some reason it's a different. I don't know if it's the camera, if it's like because not if they're not using a phone or something, but yeah, I agree, it's definitely interesting.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it'd probably be like just the pressure of having to perform.
Yeah,
Do you know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
Because that's like I mean, it's like the old saying, anyone can act in front of the mirror, but the
yeah,
moment you have to act in front of other people is when it's like, oh, okay,
yeah.
this is a lot harder.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does make sense, right? Like you're trying to perform in front of people, very often people you barely know. Like especially if you go
Yeah,
on set, you're meeting them for the first time. Like a lot of them are probably not your friends, so they're not used to seeing you being like your weird little thing, or like trying. Because some friend of yours like might have seen you like act, or like play like a different thing.
right.
But like when you're playing like in front of like a production, or like people that you don't know, like of course it kicks in something in you where you're like, okay, I mean these people they don't know me, like it's just like are they gonna find it weird if I try to do this, like like maybe I should, what I mean, like you get in your head a little bit.
Yeah. Do you find it more freeing to be performing in front of people you don't know or in front of people you do know?
I feel like it's for me it I find it easier when I'm performing in front of people that I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like for me, like I don't know, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, if I'm performing and I in front of people I don't know, well, I don't care what they think,
Right.
because like we're not friends. Like it's just like, what do I care?
Yeah.
You don't like it? Okay, cool. I mean, we're both gonna move on.
Yeah.
It's not like I know you, like, or you know me, right?
Yeah.
So, um, so like it takes the pressure off for me when I'm like doing it in front of people that I barely know. When I'm doing it in front of people like I know, I feel like I need to. You know, I mean, like my brother's watching, my mom is watching. Like I don't want her to think like I'm bad or like I
Yeah.
suck. I give myself like some sort of like expectations where I feel like I need to, you know, like just make them proud or something. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So but that's just me though. I don't know. I just maybe for you it's different though. But
No, I mean it's the same. It's so interesting though that
you
it's
know,
like the idea of failing in front of people that you care what they think about
yeah,
is what, in a way, kind of sometimes, I don't know if it necessarily gets in the way of the craft, but
mm,
it does create like blocks or obstacles that it definitely can make it much harder, I think,
yeah.
to work sometimes.
Oh yeah,
But also there's some benefit to that too.
yeah, yeah.
Like I think if it was all just easy and you could just like at any point, I don't know actually. I don't know. I'm like while I'm saying that, I'm like I am second guessing what I'm talking about here. But
I
I
love
think
it.
there's something in that.
Yeah,
There's
no,
like some truth in that.
yeah, no, absolutely. No, 100%. It's just we all have like our different sort of way that works for us.
Yeah.
You know, for some people they like to, you know, perform in front of you know, in front of friends. Some other people like to perform in front of strangers. Some people don't like to perform in front of like anybody at all. Like they don't want that, right? It's just, but
Yeah.
again, it's inevitable like in this field where you're gonna have to be performing at some point. So like acting is not for you if you can't like let go of that fear, I guess, of like performing in front of others. Like you gotta embrace it and make it part of the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
But it's so wild because there's people out there that have like
Mm,
don't and they just
yeah,
I always think of I always like to think of acting as like
yeah.
I don't what's the closest reference I could use? Maybe like Star Wars. You know, you have
Star
the
Wars.
Sith and then you have
Yeah,
um the Jedi.
yeah,
I was couldn't
yeah,
even reference
yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean,
But it's
also,
like the Sith, you know, it's
yeah.
like the dark arts.
Mm,
It's like you just have such this emotional turmoil inside you,
mm-hmm.
and you use that to and translate it into your work.
Yeah.
But it can be dangerous because that can really affect your like real life.
Mm,
Whereas a Jedi is like they achieve mastery through just like massive amounts of training.
mm-hmm.
I'm saying that, but I'm not a huge. I don't know too much about Star Wars, so I might be completely
You
off.
sounded like a pro for a second.
Yeah, that's part of the
It's
fun.
like, oh, this guy must have seen like the entire series, man. I was like,
Yeah,
I've actually never seen a Star Wars movie.
you've never seen one?
No, I know it's kind of weird. Like I've never like I just like it's funny I'm saying this. It's very ironic because I'm a huge, huge space fan. Like I love
Mhm.
anything like space and like, you know, like just, you know. But I feel like I never really liked Star Wars for some reason. I know. I just I like it when they keep it in in the realm of like realism. Like
Right.
when it goes like when it's like extravagant and like it's just like it's too much and it's like too unrealistic.
Yeah.
It takes me out of it. Uh, which is why I loved Interstellar.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
was having like a my first guest Ollie and I like we literally spent like half an hour like on the pod like
Just
talking about
Interstellar.
Interstellar. Yeah, such a good movie because
It is.
it's realistic. It's something that actually like you know if you like physically like it's just how it works. Like these are the physics, right? So
Yeah.
I mean we don't see it today. It's because we don't we obviously like these are things that would take a lot of you know like someone like traveling in space at this speed and like you know coming back like 15 years later like we don't see that very often like we don't mess
Right.
with that you know with the concept of like you know time space and all that but it is true though like you know it doesn't take away from the fact that what happens in the movie is very accurate as far as like the you know the theory of like
Yeah. It's like all loosely based on,
yeah
yeah, like real
Einstein and all
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
guys
Physics and stuff like that.
yeah
I'm like, oh, can I bullshit this? Can I talk about this in a way? Um, I love it. I mean, yeah, I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan.
mm,
I know
yeah
sometimes it's cliche, but
no I agree
he's unreal. He's the only filmmaker who does the type of movies he does.
yeah I mean, again, like just like you know, Chris Nolan, James Cameron. I don't think I've ever seen like a movie from these guys I didn't like. They
Yeah.
always like do something, and I'm like, okay. Obviously, like, Chris Nolan has his own style. You know, JC has his own style. So like, but like every time they make a movie, I'm always like compelled to watch it. Like it's just
Right.
you know what I mean. So they know what they're doing. Like you know,
Yeah. Speaking of, did you see he's doing the Odyssey?
the
Oh no, not the Yeah, he's doing the Odyssey, isn't he?
Cameron or Nolan.
Nolan. Is it the
I
Odyssey?
didn't. I didn't see. I haven't been keeping up with what he's making, but it could be, could be. But they made one already, like back in the 16, 70s. Is it like a remake?
I think so.
Odyssey
Yeah.
20,
Well, it's based off of the book, The
the
Odyssey.
book. Yeah, yeah,
I think it's a book.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, there was a
Um,
movie like Odyssey 2001, whatever. Like back
well,
in the
it's
80s, right? Is that it?
yeah, because it's like the story of Odysseus, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah. I
god
think,
or
yeah.
whatever he is.
I didn't watch it, but I mean, I've heard of it. So,
Yeah, but that'll be interesting to see him try and do something
mm,
that's like a period piece,
yeah,
really.
yeah, yeah. It's always
Maybe.
good. It's always good, like when they try to like pick up these movies that were made like so long ago, and try to bring them back to um to the scene, and like make them, like remake them in a way that is just
Yeah,
more interesting for people to watch them.
yeah.
You know. Cool. So I want to take a step back a little bit and just talk about your acting debut. How did you get started, and what was your life before? You said that you got started like 5 years ago professionally. Were you always like born like doing acting, or like how did it all come up?
No. I guess I mean I started in high school. I was a really shy kid. Like I started in junior high
Mm-hmm.
because I was shy. So my dad was just like, you should take an acting class to kind of get over your like not stage fright, but just like talking in front of people or
Okay. Yeah.
because my dad was in business
Yeah.
and a manager, so he was like, it's really important to just be able to be comfortable doing that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. I took a drama class, and I mean, it made me so miserable, just so anxious. You know what I mean?
The first one ever. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
then the moment you start to like make people laugh, you're
Mm.
like, oh, this feels good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like admiration.
Mm-hmm.
So then I just spent my high school days just like doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mostly comedy related, mostly like really big characters.
Mm-hmm.
And then my high school teacher was like, "Oh, you should go to Second City, which is in Toronto, and study there. They have like
Mm-hmm.
an improv program."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Sure. I don't know what else to do." Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was getting success in doing that in my community and recognition. So I was like, "Well, this is the thing I'm good at, so maybe I should just like keep doing it."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I moved to Toronto and I studied there, and
Nice.
then did that
Are you
for.
from Vancouver? Are you born and raised here?
No, I'm from Alberta.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay. Cool.
Medicine Hat, small city.
Sick. I don't know where that
Yeah.
is, but cool.
Oddly enough, the talent that comes out of that city is crazy.
Really?
It's crazy. There's just such a community around theater there,
Mm.
which is bizarre because there's only like 60,000 people that live there.
Right. It's a very small town. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's like a thriving theater scene.
Right.
Like there's somebody that I did theater with back in the day. He went on to Broadway. Like he starred in Dear
Like
Evan
recently?
Hansen. Yeah, like 2 years ago or something
Oh
like that.
wow.
Yeah,
Well, good for him.
David Jeffries.
Shout out to
Shout
David.
out, buddy.
Good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's so many talented actors that come out of there, or like just filmmakers or creatives.
Yeah. Nice.
I think it's because there's nothing to do there.
Okay. People just like try to find something.
Yeah, you're like, I just got to get a hobby, and you
Right.
just
Just get into
find
theater.
something you enjoy doing. Yeah, and
Yeah.
theater is like
Yeah.
it's thriving there. Like you could go see a play there genuinely
Wow. Okay.
and walk out and be like, that was really impressive. Like no different than what you see here.
Interesting.
The only thing I'd say maybe is different is it's a little bit more polished when you see something out here because
Mm.
it's longer runs. You're getting paid to do it. People don't
Right.
have jobs aside of
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
the talent nonetheless is like the same, I think. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Well, I mean, are there like any people from Medicine Hat in town that that made their move here? Or
Yeah. There's quite a few.
oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, like I mean, a bunch of my friends too moved here to work in film. Some of them have kind of left the industry, but
Yeah.
um, yeah. And then there's a couple in class,
Hmm.
or sorry, one in class
Yeah.
that's from Medicine Hat on Wednesdays.
Nice.
Um,
Sick.
yeah, so there's a fair amount of people. But anyway,
Toronto. Yeah.
yeah. So I did that for 3.5 years, is studying improv, acting, writing.
Yeah.
And then I just moved out here about 6 years ago now.
Okay.
Just closer to friends, closer to family.
Fair.
I love the outdoors.
Yeah. I
So I
mean,
was like, I'll move out here and see what happens.
yeah.
And then the pandemic happened.
Right. Yeah. Couldn't have come at a worse time.
Yeah, I know.
You thought you're like, yeah, you know what? Let me just come back to the West, where, you know, I'm ready. Like I
Yeah.
gain all this knowledge. Like, you know, you trained, you got that, and that. And you're like, all right, let's do this. And then boom, all of a sudden, you know, it's like a pandemic.
Yeah.
Fucking 2020, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Who would have thought, man? Like, it's,
Dude, it threw
of all
such
the
a
things that
wrench.
could have happened, like a freaking. Anyways, but you know,
It threw such a wrench in my plans. I mean,
what a way to welcome you to this into the industry. It's like, yeah, that's what you
yeah.
get for coming here, man. Like a pandemic, take it.
I mean, all things considered, Godspeed. I walked out of the pandemic unscathed.
Mm,
Um, but it did suck because
yeah,
that was like right when I was like, okay, time to like
yeah,
get an agency and stuff. Because I just finished school,
mm,
got all my certificates, and I was like, okay, time to like take this serious.
mm,
My first agent I signed with out here, it just didn't. It was just kind of slow. Nothing really happened.
yeah,
Um, and then the pandemic happened. And
mm,
then during the pandemic, I was like, I need to find like a new agent.
right.
Um, so I did. I submitted through. Do you know that it's like an acting
Website.
artist? Is that the name of
Oh
it?
yeah, artist to artist. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like they did like they were actually ran by, if I'm not mistaken, AMW. I think these guys were the one who put it together. But anyways, this is like a sort of is it like a competition where you send scenes and then no?
Yeah, yeah. So
Right? Yeah.
it's a competition. I
Yeah.
think they accept 250 submissions or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You just put a scene on tape,
Yeah,
submit it, and
exactly.
then
Yeah.
like your peers, like actors that are just
Yeah,
working in the
yeah,
industry
yeah.
or casting directors maybe will
Yeah.
judge it and then put you into a criterion. If you hit like a certain threshold, I think it's like top 50,
They like
that
introduce you like some like industry professionals or
they'll
something.
send you off to like
Yeah.
whatever agency is signed up for it, or
Mm.
maybe all the agencies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I did that, and then
Nice. Did you qualify or whatever? How did you?
yeah, I was like top 50.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sick.
I don't think they tell you what top 50 you make it.
You made the cut.
Yeah, you're not top 10. So I'm like, screw you guys. I'm never coming back. No, I mean, it's totally fair. I like
Mm.
whipped this scene together in like a day
Right.
because I was just at the end of the deadline. And I was like,
Right.
God.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I think it was new. It was like a new concept.
Yeah, it was fun because like I've seen this done before for monologues.
Yeah,
You know, like I don't know if you were around when the monologue slams were here.
yeah,
They had like they have this thing that started in Toronto actually. Like that's where they started, and it's called a monologue slam, where you just come, you present a monologue, and you have usually like a panel of like three judges. Some of them are like casting directors, some of them are agents, just you know, you name it. And yeah, it's like a competition of monologues, and like
yeah.
you know, you start, and then if you make it past the next round, then you redo the monologue, and then they give you like a direction. For example, hey, can you? That was great. Can you just redo this monologue? But I just want you to be drunk. Or for example, can you redo this monologue? But you know, you have to take a shit or something. You can't hold it. Like,
Right,
yeah, they give you like very weird notes, and you have
yeah,
to kind of just like redo that while like incorporating these notes.
right,
And eventually, like they narrow down the candidates until you know there's a winner.
right,
So
right,
they
right,
did
right.
that, and I think that's when artists to artists came. I think they may have like you know, but it was very similar. Like, cause like where you know they had the monologue slams, and the A2A came in and did something similar. But I think what the 80 like the artist to artist was more like an online thing where the monologue slam, you show up. There's like an audience watching. Like you're
Yeah,
on stage.
yeah. I mean, that's why, because I think it started during the pandemic. It was
Yeah.
like
Okay.
a
Makes
kind of a
sense.
way. It was great. It was like a way to kind of keep active and like try and work on something. It also
Hmm.
benefits any actors that are looking for agencies
Right.
and stuff like this because you're kind of doing the footwork for these agencies.
Right.
This competition, you have your peers
Yeah.
judging it and narrowing it down to a select group and then submitting it, and then people, these agencies can see it and be like,
Hmm.
oh, these are like the 10 best out of all these 250. So
Yeah. Yeah.
they clearly have some talent,
Hmm.
um, or work hard or whatever,
Yeah.
or chose the right scene. I mean, there's so many factors.
Oh
Who
yeah. No.
knows?
No. Definitely. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So you did Toronto. You came here like in the middle of the pandemic. You got yourself an agent, and then you started auditioning pretty much just right after. So this the artist to artist got you paired with an agent. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. So they sent you out, they sent you off. I think I had met with a couple agencies, and then
Yeah.
I decided to go with one, and then
Cool.
that was it. And then yeah, I've been with her
Yeah. No,
since
Michelle's
then.
great. I have a lot of friends with Michelle.
Nice.
She's a good agent.
Yeah.
Nice. Because I was like looking at your IMDb here. I
Oh
love
yeah.
always like taking a first look on that. Uh, oh, okay. I had like a guest yesterday. They were also on Alaska Daily.
Oh
So
yeah.
how was that? You wanna take us through the journey? Like you were playing. Tell a
Can't
reporter
remember
not to do something and suddenly it's a party. Chris Gallahorn.
Oh yeah. I was like, I can't even remember the name of that. Yeah, I mean, it was super cool. I think I just got really lucky. I looked similar to the guy who was my dad
Okay,
in the show.
interesting.
Um, but it was super cool. I mean, I got to work with Hilary Swank.
Oh,
Very short, it was one
nice.
scene, but
Yeah.
it was just cool to see somebody at that like caliber who's made it, all the way to the Oscars.
Oh yeah. I
Just
mean,
like the highest awards you can
possibly
get,
dream
some
of,
of
yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and just see her work
Hmm.
is like, oh, okay, like I'm not terrible.
Yeah.
Not saying that what she was doing is terrible by any means.
Hmm.
It's just like you can show up kind of flawed and you don't have to like be perfect. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like when you're early on, it's so easy to be like, no,
Hmm.
I have to be perfect every time I show up and like
Hmm.
nail this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think it's just like showing up with a level of passion, curiosity, and like you want to succeed, but it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be perfectly polished. So it was cool.
Hmm.
It was cool to work with her and like
Yeah.
watch her work, do the scene, and then
Nice.
that was it.
Yeah. I think just to um, yeah. I mean, just like to elaborate a little bit on what you said, but I agree. I mean, like you're not. Like I don't think you want to like just go in your head and be like, hey, like I gotta nail this. I gotta bring my A game, and obviously you should, right? But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's just like I feel like you prep it, you do your work before coming to set, and you just leave it, right? Like at this
Yeah.
point, you just like trust it. Uh, should be there, right? So again, like it's just like anything in life. If you have a running competition
Yeah.
and you haven't been running, well, like what do you think is gonna happen? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just so like yeah, like it's just if you've been running and you've been practicing and you've been timing yourself and like your time or whatever, chances are you're gonna be pretty close to like whatever you rehearsed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then so yeah, it's just like a matter of like practicing and really just like trusting the process. When I go on set, I'm like, at this point, I don't even think. I try not to think. It's always like like hard not to because you're in your head, and
Yeah.
you want to do honor to the script, and like you don't want to make a fool of yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah. But again, I feel like it's just like if you've done the work, if you come prepared, you know your lines, you have a rough idea of what you want to do, and you're also like open to taking directions, open to like adjusting.
Yeah.
That's honestly it. That's all they expect from you. They don't expect you to come and be like, oh, like deliver like a masterpiece. I mean, if it
Yeah.
happens, then great.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I guess the one downside, when you're a day player is like
yeah,
you don't have unlimited, you don't have unlimited time to be like, hey, let's do it again. Nah. I
yeah,
mean, you also don't necessarily have the power to do it, but
yeah,
I think it's still okay to be like comfortable,
yeah.
not nailing it. You know what I mean?
I
Like
mean, yeah,
watching her work was like, she'd go and she'd do a take and she'd be like, ah, I was like, what's my line? And I'm like, oh my God, here I am, like
yeah.
fucking freaking out.
And she's like,
I'm like, I can't miss a word. Can't miss a word. And then she just like misses a word, fumbles it. No one blinks an eye and just like,
moves
like,
out.
yeah, let's go. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
let's do it again. And
yeah,
I'm like, oh,
yeah,
interesting. Um, so that was cool. I think it was really reassuring that
yeah,
I'm not an alien
yeah.
and like
Also, like,
I can do this.
yeah, as you said, like like it's nobody's expecting like we all have like we're all flawed. So like it's just coming in and knowing that it's okay that you might not be like line perfect. You might be like fumbling on a line or two, but also like as you said, like if you're a day player, like you're not trying to like you gotta know like you're like know your role. Like you're not like some big shit on the show. Like so like a lot of people like, oh yeah, I booked this and like I was on. Like sometimes people like get ahead of themselves and like they let that get to their head, like where they think they're like something crazy on a show, but you're just like advancing the story. Like maybe you're the barista,
Yeah.
you're just like taking the order, like you're just taking the
Yeah.
order, like like you're not doing anything. You're not like trying to build up a story. Like if it builds up, maybe you left a good impression, then great, they bring you back. But that's not the point. The point is just you're a filler.
Yeah.
You're filling in
You're helping progress the story.
yeah.
You're not the story.
Yeah.
You're
So
just helping tell it. Yeah.
no, totally. So walk us through the audition process of you getting Alaska Daily. Did you just like do you feel like they got you just off of the look, or you feel like you've done like a pretty decent job in the audition process?
I mean, cool. I can't even remember. I mean, I think I don't know. You know, it's so weird. I feel like every time I book something, it's when I'm like not wanting to,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
That's literally the story that happens with me all the time.
it's so crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just remember I got the tape. I had just finished doing this like really intensive acting program. I mean, maybe it was like a year before,
Yeah.
but after it, I was like, I just want to take some time and like kind of find my artistic voice because it's so easy, I think, in this industry to just,
Yep.
you know, you're training with so many different people and everyone has a way that they want you to learn
Yep.
or discover. But I think sometimes what can happen is it's like, well, what do I want to say about these characters, or what do you know what I mean? Like it's
Yep.
like you're getting trained to be a day player, which means like, here's the script, just do exactly what we need you to do because you're just advancing the story. Where I wanted to learn was like, you know, I want to learn how to develop a really big, deep character that I can tell over, you know, 60 minutes, 90
Yep.
minutes, not
Yep.
just 1 minute, 2 minutes.
I agree. Yeah.
But I think a lot of, and there's nothing wrong with this, it's like that's how you make money, and especially in Canada.
Yeah.
A lot of the training and coaching is about just like nailing,
Yeah.
you know, these day
30 seconds
roles.
clip. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which you could also argue is like a great way to start. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a professional. I'm not
Yeah.
an expert in any of that. But I just was like, I want to take a break and figure out what I want to say about this type of work, and what I want to go for, and like what kind of roles I want to go for. But it's much easier said than done. But anyway, that came up like
Yeah.
shortly after. I was like, okay, I'm not taking any more classes. I'm just gonna like relax. So I was actually very calm, and I didn't care about working at the time because I was like, whatever. Like I just want to
Yeah.
find something interesting. So I just think the tape I sent, specifically relating to this character, I was just very relaxed, and I don't know. I guess it worked. It worked for the role.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's often how it is. Like it's just it's when you honestly just like don't care, or like you care less, that's when things happen because you're loose. You're not thinking.
Yeah.
You're not in your head. Which actually gets me to my next question. Yeah, that's usually when things happen, because when I think back on the things that I've booked professionally on shows and stuff, it's always when I didn't care. Like I think one of the roles that I booked, I was in Australia, and you know, I was like just visiting. I was just not there. Like, you know, like I even considered not auditioning while I was in Australia, just like taking a little break.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what, fuck it. I already have my gears with me, and like, you know, I have my portable setup. Might as well just do it. And I received an audition, and I remember like I was just like with my you know, friends and cousins or whatever,
Yeah.
just hanging out in the living room, and I received an email from my agent saying like, hey, you've been requested to audition for this role. I had like a very little time to do it too, so like it was not like I had like plenty of time. Yeah, I just like asked some of the people, that one of the guys who was in with us in that moment,
Yeah.
hey, can you just like read for me real quick? I have like this audition thingy, like I need to submit. And yeah, I did it like very late, at like 11 p.m. I just wanted to go to sleep. I was tired. I was like, I didn't feel like doing it. I just sent it. I didn't think it was that good, to be honest with you. I thought it was like okay at best. Sent it in. They're like, yeah, they loved it.
Yeah.
Like, did they? Like,
I know, isn't that funny?
did we look at the same thing? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
then-
So it's just, you know, it just goes to show, like it's.
But then that happens, and then you're like, okay, now on my next one, I'm not gonna try. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna relax and
Yeah.
just do whatever I want, and then show up. And then you do that, and you're like,
Yeah.
that shit ain't working.
Yeah.
It's
Well, it's not that it didn't work. It's just like, because you will never know. Like maybe it was
that's what I'm
good.
saying, yeah.
Like, you know, maybe sometimes, as I said, like maybe it's not about your performance. Sometimes it could be
No.
your look. Sometimes it could be your height. Sometimes it could be your hair color. Like it's just
Yeah.
maybe you had the like maybe performance based. Maybe your audition was the strongest. You don't know that. but maybe they wanted a specific look for the character. You didn't have it.
Well, that's the thing.
So they had to go with the second best or the third best or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to like to pinpoint exactly what the problem is, and it's very easy to be like, hey, like, I didn't book it, therefore it was not as good. You would automatically go on your performance and blame it on your performance, even though like very often it might not be the case,
No, I mean it's so subjective. There could be a million
right?
reasons.
So
I know people don't want to know, but I'd rather know. I mean, they don't have the time of day to tell you,
I
but
agree. I'd rather
it
know
would
too.
be great to be like, you just didn't have the look. I'd be like,
Yeah,
cool,
yeah,
moving on. And that wouldn't affect me. Like if people were just like, oh, you're too whatever, too this, I'd be like, that wouldn't affect me. What? No, I don't want to know. I'm just kidding. I take that back. It wouldn't help me in any way. I'm like, there's no benefit to that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, I mean, like, I think you do want to know if it's your acting. I kind of agree with this. I feel like I wish they gave us more feedback. And I think honestly, I agree with you. If it's like my look or like something that is out of my control, then like I'll take it. I'll
yeah,
take the loss. That's fine. But if it's something like, if it's like my craft, if it's like, oh, like I was disconnected or something, that's on me,
yeah,
right? So that's something that I should be working on, and I think I want to know that. I'm not someone who actually take things personal.
right.
To be honest with you, I feel like I try to find like constructive um feedback in every feedback. Like I try to just like take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I'm not being like, okay, that was not good, so therefore, like it must have been my performance. It must have been, like, you know what I mean? Like I try to like okay, like, why wasn't it good?
right.
Was it because my moment before wasn't so strong? Was it because I didn't have like a good business in the scene? Like maybe I was just like, like I wasn't like busy enough in the scene. Like these kind of things that you could just sometimes just like tweak, and it just like makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
It makes it like look more like natural in the scene. It makes it look more the part.
yeah,
But I agree. I wish this is something that they do more of.
yeah,
Is like giving feedback, and sometimes you can actually do it. Believe it or not, like it's just if you feel like you. Sometimes I do this where if I got like a big audition where I feel like I did a good job, I felt like I was connected.
yeah,
I felt like it was good. I felt like the performance, like performance wise, like it was really strong,
yeah,
right? And I didn't get it. I'd be like, hey, like, do you mind like asking casting, like if they have some feedback for me, like regarding that audition? I just want to know like if what I did was like good and was considered.
you're right.
You know what I mean? And I think it's okay to ask this. I don't think it's bad. Like I don't think they're gonna take it personal. If anything, they're gonna be like, oh, this is a hardworking guy. He's taking his craft very seriously. Like, we'll give him feedback,
Yeah,
right? And then they're like, yeah, I mean, you just weren't tall enough. Like, okay, I'll take that. You
yeah.
know?
You know what though? I always find like, oh man, I feel like the more I do this, the more I'm like, I have no idea anything. You know what I mean? Like when I
Mm,
was in school and stuff like that, I mean, it's not, I mean, I guess I've always tried to have the same outlook where it's just like, I don't know what I'm doing, let me
yeah.
learn. But there was like a certain point where I felt, I'm like, okay, I know the path. I want to
Mm,
stay clear of this and
yeah.
go down here and do this. And it's like, I have no idea. I have no idea. I also don't think like most people have an idea.
Mm,
You know, you hear like there's so much advice out there and stuff,
mm.
but it's all like advice where you're like, man, you like
So,
the way your avenue of success came
mm,
is so specific to you and so
mm,
lucky, or like
mm,
whatever it is, you know?
yeah.
There's so many little things that had to line up for your type of success
Mm.
that I'm always like hesitant. I don't even like, sometimes people will be like, oh, do you have any advice? It's like, I'm like, I don't know, just
I should. I need
start
my.
trying.
Yeah. I want to give myself advice if anything.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Um, but I guess
That's
that's
funny.
always kind of the thing.
Mm,
There is some literal advice when it comes to just like the business side of it,
mm.
where, I think to a degree who your agent is definitely matters.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Um, how hard I guess they want to work for you.
Mm.
Meeting people in the industry, I think having community is really important.
Connections. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
outside of that, God, if I know, man, because you'll like,
Also, like, you know what? I don't know about you, but I feel like when you're like, when you feel like you're good and when you're not. You could just sense it.
right,
You know what I mean? Like, when you do a tape, like, even before the tape is ending, like, while you're in the moment, you can sense, oh, I'm very connected. Like, this is real. This is genuine. This feels natural to me. Right. So, like, I feel like having, like, it almost feels like you don't actually need feedback because you can just know when you feel like when you are so connected when you feel like you're there, right? You're locked in
Yeah.
when you like for example, right? Like or like when you're not, right?
Yeah.
Like where like oh you're doing this and you're bullshitting, you're pushing, whatever you're doing, you can just sense it,
Yeah.
right? Like so like just having these like check in like self checking in with yourself every now and then, just be like okay, and it's okay if you're not there yet, like it's fine, like I mean like nobody's born an actor, like we all start somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like this like fake it until you make it thing is, I guess like there's some truth in that, right? Where it's okay to like fake it in the beginning, to push it, to do what you gotta do, to like just like put yourself out there and just like um try something instead of like just like really not trying anything at all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I totally agree with you. I feel like this is it's important to have these moments with ourselves where we reflect
Right.
on where we are and see if we're progressing or if we're stagnating.
Right.
You know. So I do want to go back to the question because like when I saw you like do this scene with Justin, you were so locked in.
Right.
I feel like this is like one of the few, like you were like one of the few guys I've ever seen who was so in the scene. Like you and Justin were so locked in. I was like, damn. Like I was with you like from the beginning till the end.
Yeah.
So what do you think works for you when it gets to when it comes to getting out of your head and just like really locking into the scene, not thinking about anything, not anticipating the line, not knowing what's coming, really just like being in, like just feeling everything, not thinking about anything, letting go of like whoever's watching you, like just like kind of like almost being just you and him and your scene partner.
Right.
What do you think works for you when it comes to getting out of your head? This is something we all relate. We all struggle with sometimes,
Yeah.
where we're like in our head and like we're thinking, we're anticipating. But like you seem like you're very good at this. So what do you think works for you?
I mean, thank you. That's a very genuine
Mm.
compliment. That's a good compliment an actor wants to hear.
No problem. No worries, man. Like, yeah, of
But
course.
no, I mean, honestly, I think it's just like an extreme amount of work, like genuinely.
Mhm.
I did this intensive with Terry Knickerbocker in New York.
Okay.
Um,
Nice.
that man is like a god. I'm not even joking. He's the
Okay.
most insane
Yeah.
teaching I've ever had in my entire life. Like,
He's a
but he's
god.
very specific, you know what I mean? He's doing like
Mhm.
Meisner work.
Right.
So it's a very specific technique. So it's, every coach is
Yeah.
got their own thing that they're doing differently.
Yeah.
But he's like Meisner, and he like
Mm-hmm.
dedicated his life
To
to
that.
Meisner.
Right. So that made him godly, basically.
Yeah, like I'm not kidding you. You could be in a room with him,
I love it.
and he can sense just the tiniest amount of anything that you're doing.
Really.
Like if you're being passive in any degree, he just
He
knows
just
it.
senses
Like
it.
it's crazy. He'll be like watching people do a scene, and he'll be like, that wasn't honest. And you're like, how did you know that? How did you know that wasn't honest? Sometimes it's so easy to tell when
Yeah.
someone's
Yeah.
like
You can tell.
completely,
Yeah. You can sense it.
But there's like I can't explain it. You would just have to watch him work,
Mhm.
and you're like, this guy really knows what he's doing.
What was his name? What'd you say his name?
Terry Knickerbocker.
Terry Knickerbocker.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's based out of New York.
Interesting. Nice.
But it kind of like, I was doing this intensive, and he really pounded in is just, no matter what you're doing,
Mhm.
I mean, one, you have to kind of be willing to be vulnerable, first of all,
Right.
which takes a tremendous amount of work.
It does.
And then you also just have to put in a tremendous amount of work.
Mhm.
Because if you're at any point like in the scene and you're thinking about your lines,
Mhm.
or thinking about what you have to do, that means you don't know it well enough
Mhm.
that you can like just let it all go.
Mhm.
Whereas if you like genuinely work your ass off
Mhm.
and like pound those lines in,
Mhm.
pound your blocking in,
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff, then you're not actively thinking about it. It's like
It's second
it's
nature.
it's in your bones. So when you
Mhm.
get on, I guess you can just like let it go and just let whatever happen.
Mhm.
And I know it. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know about you, but when I'm doing a scene this month and it's really outside my comfort zone.
Okay.
Um,
What is it? Just like walk us. I mean, what do you think is outside of your comfort zone in that scene?
yeah, well, it's the play is a Kiss from the Spider Woman.
Okay.
I think that's the name of it.
Nice.
It's just I'm very like I'm a very feminine
Okay.
man.
Right.
in this.
Like almost like a gay person or like gay
Yeah,
feminine.
he is a gay man, but
Okay.
he wants to be a woman. This is
Okay.
probably in the early days, and there wasn't a ton of conversation around
Interesting. Yeah.
um, trans people or anything like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and the point of class is to just do stuff that's outside your comfort zone
Mm-hmm.
and to really stretch, your
Yeah.
capabilities.
Try stuff. Yeah.
But anyway, it's just like it's a really big character. It's not something that I've done before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. New
It's also
territory.
very emotional.
Yeah.
So physically, I'm doing new things. Vocally, I'm doing new things. Um, and then you're like trying to do all this, plus the dialogue it's not exactly how we speak now.
Right. It's more like yeah.
Yeah, so like learning, the sentence structures is a little bit more uncomfortable. So there's all these elements,
Mm-hmm.
and all these elements like get in the way of me feeling it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, there's a lot of layers, right? So
Yeah, so I mean, it makes it like really difficult to do. So it's
mm-hmm.
going to be a very challenging month, but
Yeah.
I know I'm like, I just have to like really sit down and like really put in the work,
Yeah.
but I've been putting it off.
That's that's ultimately what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But
But that's the thing, like,
yeah. Who are you with? Who are you doing the scene with?
his name's Caesar.
Oh, Caesar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
know Caesar?
Yep. We're gonna
Yeah.
have him on sometime too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great guy.
yeah. Yeah. So, but it's like one of those things where, I'm like, I know I just have to sit down and put in the work. And when you don't put in the work, I mean, one, you're not going to learn anything.
True.
And you're not going to grow, and you're also not going to be able to get to where you need to
Yeah.
be. And sometimes you don't, and that's
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah. Also, like I feel like who cares? I mean, if you like, I mean, look, as you said, like you're trying this new thing, and like it's out of your comfort zone. It's something you've never done before, right? So like this is the moment to try, right? Like if you look stupid, or if you fail, or if you look silly, like who fucking cares, bro? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like who fucking cares? It's not like you fucking recorded and broadcast it to the world where like you're gonna become a meme or something.
Yeah.
Although it's possible, but I'm just kidding.
Please no, please no.
No, I don't think anybody would do that. Hopefully not. But yeah, I mean, like, really, who cares, right? Like, it's just like try it out. I mean, yeah, you'll hear a thing or two from that. Be like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you're not it. Like, you're not doing it properly or whatever.
Yeah.
You take it with a grain of salt. Just go back home, fucking work your butt off. Like, try new things, tweak
Yeah.
new things, bring it back. Like, who cares, right? Like, it's not like you're working with someone freaking famous where you're gonna be like, oh yeah. No, you know what I mean? Like it's fine. This is the place to try. Like it's
Yeah,
just
that's the thing,
safe
right?
space.
Yeah, and I mean that's why Dev is
Yeah.
so great at like finding
Yeah.
what you're uncomfortable with
Mhm.
and then like really pushing you because I mean, it goes back to anything.
Mhm.
The best way to be vulnerable is to be comfortable,
Mhm.
I guess, in the uncomfortable. But
Yep.
the only way you can do that is by trying.
Yeah.
And if you're avoiding all these things that make you uncomfortable, it's not that it
Well, you will never get comfortable. First
well,
of all.
but that
Yeah.
it's tricky because it's like it's
Mhm.
not like you're necessarily going to lose
Mhm.
opportunity, but it doesn't give you the ability to be open to more opportunity.
Mm.
Because you never know. I mean, maybe you do a scene where, you have to behave in this certain way and
Mhm.
you have all this experience trying a variety of like tools
Mhm.
that, just in this case, like help me kind of embrace this femininity a
Yep.
little bit.
Yep.
So now when I go to do something, I'm like, oh, I have experience physically doing this, vocally, whatever. So then, an audition comes up and I'm like, oh, I have some stuff I can pull from
Mhm.
that just takes me from knowing nothing
Yep.
to trying to learn it all to like knowing a little bit and then
Yep.
trying to learn the rest.
Yep.
So it makes it more accessible to experience.
Mhm.
I also think though, just by practicing things that scare you does help you become more
Yeah.
vulnerable and present, which is beneficial.
True. No, I agree. Yeah, the more things you do that are like out of your comfort zone, the better you get. The more locked in, the more vulnerable you get. You just explore. You find out like more things about you that you thought you knew about yourself.
Yeah.
Which is great. Now, when it comes to your acting process, uh, what do you do? I mean, like as far as like breaking down the script, memorizing, like what's the structure that you follow? I mean, do you have an Eric cheat sheet that you followed, like an Eric way of like doing things before you actually like put it on its feet? How do you do that?
God, what is...
Or do you like follow like the 13 questions cheat sheet that Deb gives us or whatever? Like what did you build like a system for yourself?
Not necessarily. I mean, I used to do like a lot of like structured stuff. But I think it's the same thing where it's like you're doing all this structured stuff because it's helping you learn like a process, like
Yeah.
what to look out for, what to think about,
Mm-hmm.
what to explore. Um, but I don't know. I guess I kind of lose some of that. It's different for everything I do.
Okay.
Like when I did another film.
Mm-hmm.
It was like my first kind of big role, and
Nice.
I remember I just like created this binder and I just like put images and stuff. I had never done
Okay.
that before, but it was just like I was trying to pull on things that made me feel this
I
type
like
of
that.
way.
Yeah.
Because I think
So
it's
like a binder, like you put like images that triggered memories, like basically.
it was images. Sometimes I would write, there's like kind of there's like journal exercises. It
Right.
wasn't like I was trying to do anything
Right.
that I learned, but it was just like how can I
Mm-hmm.
explore elements of how I feel and how I think about this character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to say if that like helps or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But at the very least, it makes you think about it more, which would make it more in your bones, I guess.
Right. So I think what I'm trying to get at, like, do you at least, for example, when you get a new script, whether that's for an audition, a scene with Deb, on set, whatever, do you do like the goals of the scene, the tactics of the scene, the obstacles, that sort of thing, or you do just like kind of like you have a general idea of what it is in your head and you just like really dive right into the lines? You know
Oh,
what I
yeah, I'm
mean?
gonna out myself here. It's gonna make me sound like I'm lazy. For me, it's very feeling based. So, um, yeah, I'll read the
There's nothing wrong with
script.
that, by the way. Like, like being feeling based, like it's whatever works for you at the end of the day. There's like, this is not like a wrong or right like
No,
answer.
no, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. No, it's like for me, I'll usually just read the script and then I just think about it a lot, and it's like in the simplest way, I just think about it
Hmm.
over and over again,
Hmm.
and then I'll read it over and over again.
Hmm.
I'll talk about it. It's great to talk about it with a scene partner,
Hmm.
or like oddly enough, I learn the best when I'm talking about something.
Hmm. Same. When I'm
So
voicing something out, like it actually, um, this is actually my to go method when it comes to like
yeah,
emotions and stuff.
yeah.
It's really voicing out what I'm thinking and feeling.
Yeah.
Mm.
So like when I learn something, if I can have somebody I can talk to, class is great because you have your scene partner.
Hmm.
Um, but if I don't, like
Yeah.
even just being like, oh, let me tell you about this thing,
Yeah.
or let me explain this story to you,
Hmm.
because it really helps you, I think, try and like learn
Yeah.
what it's about at its core,
Yeah.
and then just taking that and trying it over and over again. I
Hmm.
love rehearsal. I'm a huge rehearsal guy.
I agree. I mean, you know, you always like find something new in
Yeah.
the rehearsals anyway. That's when you find like new layers, new choices, new
Yeah.
things. Like sometimes you rehearse once and you don't, you don't fully. It's after like rehearsing it a couple of times that you find something. You're like, oh, the way I said this line was kind of nice. Like I feel like I haven't said it this way before. Like I'm kind of liking the intentions behind this line now. Like, you know what, I'll use this,
Yeah.
right? But it's also like equally as important to be able to adjust, right? Like it's just we get caught into this trap where you rehearse something so much.
Yeah.
This is why, like, I feel like there's like a certain amount of time that I like to rehearse, and at some point I just want to call it, because if you rehearse too much, you get caught into this one way of delivering the lines, one way of like
Yeah.
performing, because it's not it's not correct, because like acting is reacting, right? So like if you rehearse your lines a certain way and you have all these pre-built pre-chosen, preloaded choices in your head, and then your scene partner gives you something else, like it doesn't make sense. Like maybe that doesn't align with the way you prepped it.
Yeah.
So obviously it doesn't make sense for you to say the line in the way you rehearsed it, right? It's gonna be like off of what you received.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Does this
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the tricky part. I'm sure there's a word for it. There's like a threshold where it's like,
Yeah, just being adjustable, directable. Yeah, I think.
Well, so like, I think early on, there's some actors that work like this where they try not to know too much about it. They just kind of want to know who they are and like what
Hmm.
they're doing and why they're doing it.
Hmm.
And they can show up and, you don't have to be word perfect or anything like that. That's a very specific style.
Yeah.
But some actors do that,
Mm.
and sometimes it's a little rude because, you're not being considerate to your scene partners when you do stuff like that.
Hmm.
But some directors like that, where it's like more loosely improvised. It's like you still kind of have this script, but you just want to toss it around, like just say it however you want to say it, feel
Hmm.
it, let the scene like come alive in you.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but then I think there's this threshold where you're trying to learn where you get stuck
Hmm.
and you're doing it in the same way over
Hmm.
and over again. You're like, oh my God. But I think if you power through that and you start practicing like, or like throwing it away and doing it in like any other way you can,
Hmm.
then you hit that like last little chunk
Hmm.
where you're free. And it goes back to what I was saying about like the Jedi and the Sith thing.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
Sith is like it's chaos, right? It's
Yep.
chaos energy. They
Yep.
they perform out of chaos, like
Yep.
just purely
Chaotic
emotional,
energy. Yep.
impulsively,
Mm.
which is phenomenal and it works.
Hmm.
But then there's also this point where if you work hard enough,
Yep.
you hit like the Jedi, where acting is like almost spiritual.
Yeah.
I do think it is.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, there's a reason why there's like a whole psychology behind it, right?
Yeah,
Where we, like it's just acting as the art of like, living, breathing the way we
yeah,
are and just like tweaking it in a way that is just enjoyable for the audience to watch. It's no different than actually just like living, really. Like
yeah,
having this conversation, you and I, this could have very well been like a scene.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah. It
two
can be.
people
Yeah,
having, anything could be like in an acting setting. And it is spiritual at the end of the day, right? Like it's just like because we very often like we are conditioned as people not to have I mean very often but like emotions, suppress our emotions, and emotions make you weak and blah blah
yeah,
blah, and all these stigmas that like that you got to let go of when you act, because those are the things that make you human.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And again, so like there's like this spiritual layer where you think about something and you don't often think about it when you're having a conversation, but when you have a scene, you understand a little more, like the why they think this way. For example, if you're playing a certain character, if it's a serial killer, if it's like maybe this guy that you're playing, why are they like this? There's always like a reason why people act the way they do,
yeah,
right? So like once you get into the psychology of it, you start to understand. Okay, I like you can relate to a certain extent to
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
um
What do you think then? What do you think is the hardest thing? What do you struggle with the most? Do you find in
in
your
in acting,
craft? Yeah.
what I feel like I struggle with, again, there's a lot of things. I mean, I don't think it's like one thing, but I think like what I struggle with the most right now is just like sometimes I want to say like staying present. Sometimes I can like really really lock in, but sometimes like I'm always like, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm overthinking it, and you can tell me if I am. But sometimes I'm just too scared of playing the character where it's too close to me, to Ali, where
Mm,
it technically shouldn't be, right? It should be like a character. This is why it's like a character development, the character arc.
right.
But also, like the truth is, there's always like a bit of you in every character, right? You infuse a bit of Eric, a bit of Ali, a bit of like whatever
Yeah.
in every character. Like you're never too like completely far off of your actual person. Of how, like you would find a way of like saying, because like you're an actor, right? So like you're not like at the end of the day, you are saying the line as Eric.
Yeah.
Now Eric is saying the line of the character. So like obviously like Eric needs to convince himself in some way, shape, or form that he is that or he is this, right? So like it is the actor at the end of the day saying the lines.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, I mean, that was not me. I mean, like, come on, like it is kind of you, right? Like you said the fucking lines, right? So
Yeah.
um yeah, so I feel like sometimes just really finding that line where like I'm not too myself in the scene, where
Right.
I'm just like sprinkling a little bit of myself into the scene, but while like making sure that like it looks like like a different character that is not myself,
Right.
you know. So that's sometimes, obviously, like this is something I struggle with. um Also sometimes I struggle with is like when you are getting, and again it always comes down to being so present in the scene. It's just that's ultimately what it comes down to. But sometimes if I'm doing an emotional scene, I feel like if the scene starts emotional, it's very easy.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can just prep it, whatever, you're getting emotional, rolling, boom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but the scene doesn't always start emotional. Sometimes you're at a party, you're you're enjoying yourself, and your best friend dies at the party. Like the roof collapses or something,
Yeah.
and then your best friend dies, and you're like 180-degree shift,
Yeah.
and then that triggers something. So I feel like sometimes, again, right, like you gotta be connected and like really paying attention and feeling what's happening to get there. But sometimes I do struggle with that, where I'm like, okay, I went from this like very positive, joyful mood to mourning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I feel like these are the things sometimes I do struggle with, and sometimes it does come more easily than others for me. But it's always something I'm working on, I feel,
Right.
when it comes to the craft.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think are some of the things that you struggle with nowadays?
Nothing wrong with me.
No, there's no
Never been better.
flawless victory.
Never. Yeah. I gotta tell you, they're all missing out on my talent.
Why haven't I been casted yet? Like, what are you guys waiting for?
Yeah.
I'm the perfection.
These idiots out there, they
Definition.
don't
You
see
guys are
my-
missing out. But
no, I mean, what do I start with?
what about like vulnerability? What about that? How do you find yourself like getting there like fairly easily, or like what do you?
It really depends. I mean, it's so tricky. I guess that's the thing. Sometimes there's characters that it's so much easier to attach to and feel,
Yep.
which makes it easier. But then there's sometimes you're like, this is so far from how I think or feel
Mm-hmm. True.
that it is a little bit harder to get
Yeah.
into.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably say, I mean, what I struggle with the most right now is making like bold decisions. It's so bizarre. I mean, I came from such a big comedy
Really?
background where all I did was make bold decisions.
Right.
And then I took that and was like, I want to be a dramatic actor.
So you let go of all that.
I let go of all of it and I wanted to be like very real, very realistic.
Right.
But sometimes that's a little too real.
Right.
So it's like very muted.
Mm.
So I'm trying right now, I'm like tempted to get back into comedy too,
Mm.
to just start making more bold decisions. I mean, Deb's really helping with that, actually. Shout out Deb.
Shout out that.
She's really trying to open me up and to make bigger decisions again.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of truth to like
Yep.
the bigger decisions you make, it is more vulnerable because it's a bigger risk.
Yeah.
Which is a good exercise nonetheless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I think
so,
like
yeah.
also like when it comes to comedy, at the end of the day, like so you have a comedy background. Comedy comes from truth, right? So it's when you get like bolder choices because you want to prompt a laugh. The easy way to do this is just to be truthful to yourself. A lot of the times when the situation is that makes it funny, and the reason why people laugh is because the situation is funny. Very often, it's not funny for the character when it
No.
happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the situation is so ridiculous, right? The scenario that the character is in is so ridiculous that it's funny. But that's only funny if the character commits to the situation, to the scenario, and if he lives it to the truthfully,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like that's kind of like the sometimes when it comes to choices, it's really trying to attach it to truth, right?
Yeah.
Really staying truthful to yourself, to the character, to its motivation. All of these things will make, like, very often, like, when you're trying to make someone laugh, you're not actively trying to make them laugh. You're just like you're telling the story in a way that is very truthful, very honest, and usually the scenario itself is funny.
But
Very often, yeah.
Yeah, you know what the odd thing is though? I was talking about this I think a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
The brain though, when you know that you're doing it, and it's not like you're trying to necessarily get a laugh, but you know what you're doing is going to get a laugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
The feedback is different. So the reward you get,
Yeah.
you're more willing, like for me specifically,
Mhm.
I'm more willing to take a risk with comedy
Yeah.
because the feedback feels better.
It does.
Whereas drama, the
Mhm.
feedback still feels good. People can give you like great compliments,
Mhm.
but you're not giving people necessarily joy.
Mm,
Whereas like giving people joy
yeah,
is like, oh, that feels really good.
it does. Yeah,
Whereas like giving people sometimes, sorrow or pain,
yeah,
it's not the same feedback.
yeah.
So it's harder to be like,
Well, it's not
it
necessarily
feels more real.
it's not necessarily sorrow and pain that you're giving them, but you're giving them very relatable, like stories. These are stories that people try to suppress sometimes, or things that they've dealt with. But when you have the the guts to actually put it together, and they're watching it, they're like, whoa, I know what that feels like. I know what this is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's ultimately, like, that's the reason why we cry. It's not because we're sad. It's
Yeah.
because we actually feel, and we relate to the situation.
Yeah.
We've been there. We try to cover it, but like we've been there and we know what it's like. And that's what, gets us to cry, because it's so relatable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so relatable. But yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, obviously it's more fun to someone, laughing, like, and being super ecstatic about what you're doing, rather than, like, sobbing or something.
Yeah.
But I think there's, like, definitely, like, um there's a satisfaction in both things. I feel like
Yeah.
it's just, if you made someone cry, if you made them laugh, I feel like that's probably equally as rewarding for yourself. You made them feel something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It is still rewarding. It's just like a slightly different type of reward
Yeah. Yeah.
where that reward is like, oh, okay. Like clearly I put in enough work to
Yeah.
make them feel something, which is a huge compliment.
Hmm.
And hopefully they take that and, can learn or whatever, feel more empathetic towards people, which is also massively beneficial.
Hmm.
But comedy, the reward is instant,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
like you hear the laugh and you
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
nailed it.
Yeah. But also, like, it can also, like, backfire on you. Comedy is very tricky, man, because listen, if you're doing the scene and they're not laughing, then you're like, fuck,
Yeah.
it's not working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get in your head. If you're doing a drama and they're not laughing, you're like, okay, it's fine. It's a drama. They're not supposed to laugh anyway.
Yeah.
If they laugh, great. That's
Yeah.
even better. You know what I'm saying? But if you're doing a comedy piece and you're trying to land the jokes or the punchlines or whatever, and they're not laughing, then you automatically get in your head like, fuck, it's not landing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, timing wasn't right, I'm doing something wrong. So it's easier to get in your head because you're not getting the laugh. So, like, it's almost like you need people to laugh for you to keep going, or else you're gonna think like, oh, like, am I not being funny? Like, I'm not landing, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's easy to get. Is it me, or it's just,
No.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, 100%. I mean, but I guess that's what like comedy's all about. I mean, it's trial and error. You're just like
Yeah.
trying and trying and
Yeah.
trying, and you learn just like, I always said this, and this might be controversial. Robin Williams.
Yeah.
That man, he's firing on like all cylinders all the time.
Yep.
But I was saying this to my parents. He is firing on all cylinders, but he's mastered his tools. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's done this for so long, for so many years.
He knows.
That he has so many pulls. He has so much like,
Freedom.
subconscious effort where he's like thinking about this, boom, 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 boom. That it's like, it has showed up as you go, oh my God, he's insanely talented. But also you have to be like, he also has just worked really hard for a really long time.
Yeah.
And that's what's like allowed him to achieve this level of like speed.
True.
Because it's the same thing. I mean, like, it's so weird to say because I don't really do comedy anymore. But when I did, I mean, when I started out, yeah, I mean, I barely knew how to make people laugh. But you just keep trying. And then in high school,
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I failed most of my classes because I didn't try. All I spent my time doing, especially in my high school years, was just like dedicated to trying to entertain people or like make people laugh. And in not like a self-centered, like I'm gonna
So that
take
got you through high
everyone's
school.
time.
That made
Yeah.
them, like, be like, oh yeah, okay, fuck the grades. He's so funny. No, we'll make him pass.
Yeah, I think that's why my teacher was like, you should go do improv because nothing else is gonna work out for you. I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah. I'm
Oh my God,
failing
how
all
could
my
you say this shit to a
classes.
16-year-old kid?
Yeah. No, she didn't say that, but she did encourage me to do
yeah, no, I know.
comedy.
Yeah,
Um,
that's good.
but it was mostly just because
Mm.
like I'm saying, I mean, I say that all the time. It's learned. Everything's learned. People are like, I can't do improv. I'm like, yeah, you can. You can. Trust me. You just got to try
Yeah.
and keep trying and wanting to do better.
Yeah, failing, eventually you'll get it right.
Yeah, eventually you'll start to figure out your thing.
Right.
And then once you figure out your thing,
Yeah.
you can just rinse and repeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had got to the point,
Yeah.
I kind of wish I didn't stop, but I got to the point in comedy
Mm-hmm.
where I started to get bored.
Oh,
I had like pushed and worked so hard and I was so focused on it
you made too
just
many.
for fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I got to a point where I was like, I'm like,
You
I'm
made
not
too many
really
people
getting.
laugh. You're like, fuck. It's more than I could chew.
Yeah, it's my ego. I'm like, I'm too good. I gotta retire while I'm ahead.
I'm receiving too many laughs, man. It's too much. I can't handle this.
No, but what I would say is that like
I'm kidding. Yeah.
the threshold of what I had been learning, there was just, I guess I got into it because I was super interested in just like behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then the feedback made me feel really good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those two things combined, and that's why I jumped into drama,
Yeah.
is because I was like, oh, I'm actually interested more in like real behavior.
Yep.
Um,
Fair.
yeah.
Yeah. You know, actually, like something I do want to try soon. It's like freaking scaring the hell living out of me, man. It's just stand-up comedy. It's something I want to do. It's so I'm fucking shitting my pants, man. Like, I don't even know if I can do this, but
Yeah.
I do want to like get on stage sometime and just fucking try to see if what's gonna happen.
If
Fucking, I'll probably like invite to my friends, be like, hey, let's make sure to laugh at every single thing I say, so I don't look stupid in front of everybody.
oh man,
Even if it's not funny, just fucking laugh.
I would want to go to like a different city where I don't know anybody to try.
Right? Yeah.
Stand up. I have so much respect and admiration for
It's so
because
hard, bro.
it's just you, a microphone,
Literally.
and a quiet room.
Yes.
Everyone's looking.
You don't
at
know
you.
anybody. It's
Yeah,
just
you can't do any escapism. It's like you and them, and you're holding the room. It's like the most intense you can get for
Fuck.
performance, in my opinion.
Yeah,
truly.
yeah.
'Cause you can't like escape into a character. You're like, no, I am here talking. I'm just gonna talk, and
Yeah.
hopefully somebody laughs at what I'm saying. And also just the amount of work it takes to like come up with
Yeah.
good jokes and good material.
True.
I think a lot of people are like, oh, you're naturally. That would be the thing too.
Mhm.
That drove me crazy because especially when I was doing improv comedy,
Yeah.
people be like, oh, tell me a joke, and I'm like, tell you a joke? What? I don't do stand up. The hell are you talking about?
Yeah. That's funny.
But I'm like, I could only imagine if people were like, I'm a stand-up comedian. They
Yeah.
probably get that so much.
Mhm.
It's like like you can't just like, what do you want?
yeah.
Like a dad joke?
Yeah. It's
you
like
know?
telling to an actor, like, you're an actor? Can you cry on cue? Can you please cry? Can you show me? It's like
Yeah.
basically the same thing. Like when you tell a stand-up comedian, oh, you're a stand-up? Can you tell me a joke, please? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a very typical thing. I feel like they would get.
Oh, all the time. But I guess I also at the same time I'm like, yeah, most people don't understand the industry, so I'm trying to be
Yeah.
as empathetic when somebody asks a question. I'm like,
Mhm.
I'll entertain you.
Right.
I'll entertain you as much as I
I
can.
love it. That's so
Yeah.
fun. Nice, good stuff, man. So before we wrap this up, do you have anything you're looking forward this year, or something that you may be working on, something in the works, or maybe even like resolutions that you set for yourself this year? Anything you want to share with us?
Oh God. I mean, I'm hoping to just work.
Yeah.
I'd really like to work on another film.
Mhm.
I had such a good experience.
Nice.
That would be fun.
Mm.
Great resolution. Yeah, just keep working, just keep like learning. I think you know what? This is what I'll say. I'm too much, I'm too stubborn.
Yeah.
I'm like too much of a artist.
Mm.
That makes me feel weird saying that, but where I don't care enough about the business side of the industry,
Okay.
and I want to care more about the business side because that does directly translate to like more work.
Wait,
Does that make sense?
No. So what do you mean? Like you don't care much about the business side of things?
Yeah, like I'm like I just want to work on like stuff that I'm really into.
Okay. Cool.
But you can't do that. I mean, you gotta hustle, you gotta grind.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like to get there, obviously, like, well, first of all, you need money.
Yeah.
And if you're producing your own shit and then you want to work on stuff that you want, or maybe stuff that people are producing that you think are good for you, well, obviously you need credibility.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be like, oh yeah, we're gonna take a chance on Eric, who's never been on anything.
Yeah.
But you know what? Well, we're gonna take his word for it. He said he was good.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's tricky. That's the thing, right? It's so tricky. But like the problem is that I'm so content. I mean, I did community theater for like
Yeah.
4 or 5 years when I finished high school.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, I enjoy this. This is just fun. Like I don't want like
Yeah.
I had no desire to like go pursue it because I was just like, I just enjoy doing this. Same thing with like I'm so okay with just like being in class and just having fun and like
Yeah,
learning. I do miss performing in front of people like
yeah,
live and getting,
yeah. I mean,
admiration,
there's
but
not a whole lot of theater happening in town, unfortunately. I just wish
yeah,
there was more, but there is. It's not like it's inexistent. Like
yeah.
there is. It's just you got to go and find the opportunities. And I wish like there was like more like theater agents or something. I feel like here you have to
Oh my God, excuse me.
self-submit yourself to like theater productions. I know Mitch and Murray, if you actually check them out on Instagram, shout out to their play.
Who, sorry?
Mitch and Murray Production. Just go like if you Google
Okay.
them on Instagram, Mitch and Murray Production. It's owned by the Cravens, so Kate and Aaron Craven. They're also like acting coach. They have the actors gym and like a bunch of things, so you guys can check them out. But they recently put up a play a couple weeks ago, Heroes of something. My bad, forgot the name, but Heroes of something, Heroes of a Living, whatever. But it was so good, man. Really, really good. They put up a lot of like high quality theater production
Yeah.
that is funny, relatable, really, really good stuff. So
Nice.
that's honestly a good place to start. Just like I would like follow them and just like maybe audition when because they do like yearly plays. Like every year it's like a new play that they do, and I've been like wanting to kind of just like maybe try myself out for that. Because it's really good. Like the theater level that they do is really, really good,
Yeah.
and it's paid. It's like I think it's a paid gig.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mitch and Murray Production,
Okay.
good place to start. So yeah, that's good. All right. Well, that was fun, man. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining us, the great Eric Sebastian, everybody. So yeah, that was fun, man. Hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. Hopefully I'll have you on some other time. When you go through more and be like, yeah,
Come back and completely say the opposite of everything I just said. Like,
love it, man. All right.
you
Well,
know,
it's a pleasure to have you, bro.
of course, man.